Hey everybody, it's Frank here, the Mad Dad, and today is April 27th, 2020. So we're going to talk about two things today. First thing is I'm going to show you my trading plan, which I created yesterday, which is kind of like a business plan for trading. I felt it was something that would be really important to have. And then the other thing we're going to do is today I did make a couple of trades. It was one of the first days that I've done trading, and I'm going to show you the results of how I did, and just to let you know, I didn't do that well. This is not an easy thing to do. A lot of psychological parts to it, but the good part is I actually stuck with the plan, which once again I'm going to show you. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hey everybody, welcome back. So first thing we're going to take a look at here is my trading plan. And the reason that I built this is because I really believe that we have to look at this as a business. And with any business, before you start a business, you have to write a business plan. It just makes sense. That way you kind of understand what your potential profits could be, your losses, what your risks are, all the different things that go into helping you run a business. If you just try to do it ad hoc without planning, chances are you're setting yourself up for failure. So it's really important that you kind of put something together. So this plan, this business plan or this trading plan kind of outlines my objectives, my outcomes that I'm looking at, and different strategies, as well as the rules that I've laid out for myself. And it's something that I do plan on reviewing every day and also updating as I go along. So I'll go through each aspect of it here to give you a kind of an understanding of how I've put it together. So batting average, these are my objectives here. Batting average, I'm looking at 50-50, right? I mean, that's probably at least at the beginning, that's probably a fairly, I wouldn't say aggressive objective, but I would sure like to get 50-50. My reward to risk, if I get 2-to-1, so for every risk that I take, I return double what the risk is. That would be nice. Once again, maybe a little bit optimistic at this point. Actually, I'm going to be happy to break even for the first little while. That would be my perfect scenario. The other thing I put here is that I never plan on risking more than 1% of my account on any single trade. Now, my account, I'm starting off with $5,000. That is basically what I've set aside to do this, to start my trading business. I understand that a lot of people may think I'm undercapitalized, but I have actually set it up as a margin account, so there's other things I can do with it, and that'll be a whole separate topic about margins and stuff like that. But, this means that with a $5,000 starting account, I will never risk more than 1% of it on any single trade, which is a maximum of $50. Now, I've actually set my current risk factor to be a little bit lower than that at $40. So that's the amount that I'm willing to lose per trade. All right. Maximum number of trades per day that I will take is 6. And that's actually a lot. What I've noticed here is when you're looking for trades to do, obviously I'm not that skilled at finding those trades, and I'm spending a lot of time looking and researching and trying to figure out what's there. So, but that is the maximum that I've set out, right? And then I've also defined myself some maximum loss limits per day so that things don't get a little bit crazy. My maximum loss is basically 1 R per trade, keeping in mind that the current R is 40. That would mean that the maximum I'm willing to lose is $40 per trade. A maximum of 3 R per day, which would be $120 per day. And that's the maximum, once again, assuming that, I could take up to 6 trades. But if I, for example, take 3 trades in a row and I lose my full amount, I'm done. That's it. I'm finished. Maximum of 9 R per week. So basically 9 times 40, $360 over a week, and a maximum of 12 over the course of the month. So that'd be $480. So that's the maximum amount I'm willing to lose on a monthly basis. If I meet any of those scenarios, mainly these ones here, then I'm done. I'm finished. So if I lose more than 3 trades a day at the maximum amount, then I'm finished for that day. It's time to pack it in. The same thing with the 9 and with the 12. So, I mean, I guess it's possible I could lose this in 4 days, 12R, right? And if I happen to lose that in 4 days based on my rules, then even if there's 20 days left in the month, I'm finished. I have to go back and do some more research. All right, because obviously, if this is unsustainable even with a $5,000 limit. $600 into 5,000 is, what, 9? 8. So that would give me like a total of 8 weeks worth of capital, and then I'm done. So, I've also outlined my rule here: stop trading immediately if any of these limits are met. So, and what's really important, I'm sharing this plan with you so that you can see. Actually gives me a little bit more incentive to follow it here, because if I don't follow it, guess what? You're going to know, because I'll post it online. Now, I've also given myself a bit of incentive here. If I can actually get 1 full month, a net gain of 20R. So if I, at the end of the month, have $800 more than I started with, meaning that I go from $5,000 to $5,800, I will raise this risk level to $50. So, but I have to have a full month of that. Anything other than a full month is not acceptable, right? So, and of course that 20R could change as I hopefully don't dwindle down my capital. Possible outcomes. I just wrote down a couple of scenarios here. Worst possible outcome. And once again, for me, it's a real visual thing to make sure that I understand what I'm risking when I do this. And, assuming a 50-50, worst possible scenario, if I lose my first 3 trades, per trade is -1R. Give me a total for that day of -3R, which would be, now you might be doing the numbers here, it'd actually be $120, but using the trading platform that I have, which is IQ Edge, which I'll show you in another video, there is a commission on every trade in and out, and it's about $4.50. So, I mean, I think between $4.50 and $4.75. So I'm looking at about $10 per trade. So I have to add that in. So that's why this comes out to $150, not $120. So, over the course of a week, that'd be $450, and over the course of the month, that could be $600. So once again, this is the absolute worst scenario, that I don't meet any of my goals, and I lose everything, right? So $600 per month. Now, once again, it's a good idea to know that, because now that I know that my maximum loss is going to be $600 over a month, it kind of gives me guidelines to work within. All right. So I'm hoping this is a little bit closer to what it could be an average outcome. So, let's say that I take 4 trades over the course of the day. I win 2, I lose 2. And if I can recap 1.75R, right? Well, that's my risk. So this means that for every $40 I risk in a win, I will make $60, right? And then I'll lose my $40. It means that I will actually have the amount per day of $120 in wins and $60 in losses, which is basically a gross of $60 per day, right? Which would give me a weekly, this is 5.5R, my weekly R would be, and once again, hopefully in a best case scenario, or as I say, an average outcome, 5.5 times 40 is about $220 profit for the week. So weekly gross amount 220, and monthly gross amount $880. So those are my outcomes. Now, in terms of my strategies, and I can certainly talk more about my strategies, through the research that I've done. I belong to a trading house, which I get advice from, and the guys that are kind of running this trading house, Jared and Anmol, make suggestions. So, I will take trades suggested by them. And that doesn't always work out either, because I know that this morning they suggested a trade, and I just wasn't quick enough to take it. And, the other thing is if I can't get in at the limits that I'm looking at, then I'm not going to jump in. So, trades that they suggested, and then trades that have a clearly defined 3-bar play. And a 3-bar play is actually a trading strategy. And I will actually show you an example of a 3-bar trade a little bit later on. And then my general trading rules. So those are the strategies there. I'm only taking long trades. I'm not going to do any shorts to start with. Short is basically where you gamble or you bet, or however you want to put it, that the market's going to go down. And those I find a little bit confusing right now. So I'm just going to stick on focusing on long, which is basically when you buy low and sell high. And I'm going to make sure that every trade I take has an entry so I know exactly what I'm getting in at it, and a stop, which is a stop loss. And I'll show you a little bit of that in a moment. And a target, which means I know where I'm going to get out of it. And every trade must have a predefined risk level. And that risk level is 1R, which I was showing you up here, right there, which is the $40. That's my risk per trade. The other things, I'm going to try to be objective. This is something where you can't really get emotional. And if you lose money or make a mistake or stuff like that, because we're talking about your money, you can get very emotional about it. And, I play poker for fun. And one of the things I learned very early is that you can't let bad hands or bad cards or bad beats get to you, because if you do that, then you become a gambler. And if you become a gambler, chances are you're going to lose. I mean, you may get lucky some of the times, but most of the time you're just going to lose. So you really have to be objective about everything you're doing. And once again, think of it as a business and try not to get too wrapped up in what you're doing. And if I do find myself getting emotional, hey, I'm just going to walk away. Get up and walk away. I'm not going to take a trade unless it's got a clearly defined strategy as outlined here, right? So it's either a trade suggested by these gentlemen or a trade that has a clearly defined 3-bar play. And by the way, when we get into actually showing you what I did today, you're going to see that I screwed that up because I took a trade that was not part of a 3-bar play. So, when a trade is clear and meets my plan requirements, I'll take it without hesitation. Well, I did take a trade today without hesitation that I thought met my 3-bar play. And then, of course, I went back and looked at it and it didn't. So there we go. And assuming that it meets my money management thresholds, which means that it's got to meet my objective and it's also got to meet my outcome, my losses, and my risk schedule. And, I'm going to master these strategies before I add different strategies, like, for example, shorts or breakouts. I know there's a whole bunch of different strategies that you can look at when trading, but I just don't know enough yet to do that. And I'm going to adhere to my money management rules, which once again is the 1R, knowing when to get in, knowing when to get out. And I will not take a trade that has less than a 2-to-1 reward to risk. This one here, I kind of screwed up on this as well, because I did look at the trade I was taking and it looked to me like it had a 2-to-1, but it probably didn't. It was probably a bit on the sketchy side, when you're looking at the highs and lows. So this one here, I definitely need to work on a little bit more. And I will not take a trade that has a spread greater than 25%. So these are kind of the bid and the ask prices. So I didn't break that rule today. And then I will not take trades when odds are against me, and I cannot see any trades that meet my strategies. Once again, I kind of screwed up on that one today because I thought that it met my strategy, but it didn't. So I jumped the gun. I was a little bit quick on that. I'll faithfully track all my trades, study them, and learn from my mistakes. I like to study my mistakes. I'm not going to blame anybody for stuff that I screw up. Hey, it's my fault. If I screw up, I screw up. Don't blame other people for what you do. And I'm never going to violate the rules that I've laid out in this plan. Or I'm going to do my best not to. So that's basically my trading plan. So what I'm going to do now is I'll just show you a little, I'm actually going to go and show you kind of the trades that I did today and how I did and kind of what the overall outcome was. Eastern time, 6:35 in the morning. It was for Tilray Inc. And I got into it at $9.24. I took 90 shares, and I'll show you kind of where how I came up with my risk factor and size of shares and everything else. I've got a little spreadsheet here, as you can see, and what you do is you put in your entry point, your stop point. So this would be a stop loss, which means that based on my risk factor, I was basically willing to take a loss of 60 cents. Sorry, that's about 44 cents. It says right there, 44 cents per share. And that told me for 40, which is my $40 risk, that I would need to buy 90 shares. So that's what I did, was I bought 90 shares at $9.24. Now, of course, my plan was for one return on my risk, I should have got out at $9.68. 1.5 times my risk, I would have got a $9.90. 2R, which would have been perfect scenario, I would have got out at $10.12. And basically what happened with this stock is it went up. It started off going pretty good, and it got up to a high of $9.75, which actually I should have gotten out right there, because that was a little bit higher than my one that I was shooting for. 1.75, 1.5, right? There's my mistake. So I was supposed to get out at, I should have actually got out at 9.68. If I got out at 9.68, I would have done all right. I would have made my 1R anyways, $40. But it kind of got up to 9.75 and then started dropping. And when it got down to $9.33, I decided to jump out of it. So I basically stopped right there. Now, I did have set for stop loss $8.80, which would have been right around here, $8.80. But as it was moving up, I actually moved my stop loss up, because I figured if it keeps climbing, I'm going to try to take as much money as I can. So it kind of started going up, and I moved my stop loss up. And anyways, I wound up getting knocked out, like I said, at 9.75. No, sorry, 9.75. I got knocked out at $9.33. So I wound up with about an $8 profit. So that was my first trade of the day. So for my second trade of the day, which actually happened quite late in the day, and this is the one that I kind of made the mistake on. I was looking for a 3-bar play, and I didn't quite get it based on the charts I was looking at. I could see that the stock was going up, and then it crossed over this line here, which is called a VWAP, the volume weighted average line. And I figured that if it crosses over this line, it might be able to keep climbing. I also noticed that it had gone up previously to $11.87. So, I'd done some, as I was going through, I did some calculations, said, okay, well, I'm going to get an 11.68. And if it goes back up to the 11.87, then that's pretty much my 2R, my double risk. So that seemed to me like a good plan to take. But of course, the moment I jumped into it, it started dropping and dropping. And I thought just right here, it might pop up again. And it didn't. And because I'd set my stop loss for $11.58, it actually hit that 11.58, which is right there. And it took me out. And so this is the one trade that wound up costing me 1R, which is basically $40. So I lost $40 on this. So my net for the day, not including my commissions, would have been $30, right? 32, it would have been, minus 32. But then I have 2 sets of commissions, which is $20. So my net for today would have been minus $52. So slightly more than the 1R that we were talking about, minus $52. So that's the results of my trading day. So, I guess tomorrow we'll try it again and see how things go. Now, if this is the first time here, hey, if you want to watch me and see if I'm successful, don't forget to subscribe. I'd really like it if you did. And if you have any questions about anything that I've talked about, please don't hesitate to ask me. I'd like to, have a conversation with anybody that wants to do that. And then what we'll do is we'll be back tomorrow. And I hope that you have a fantastic day. Thank you very much. Bye.